Oh, what time is it? 3 o'clock. I guess I should just get up and start the day, right? Let's get up. Oh, God, my back. Oh, Jesus Christ. What did I do last night? Why do I always wake up this early? 3 a.m. is too early. Oh, shut the fuck up and get on with it. Let's go.
Sinners and saints, dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alley After Dark.
Sinners, saints, bitches, whores, sluts, skanks, hoes, hoe-mongers, and whoremongers too. Cocksuckers, pole smokers. I'm saying that too much. Ass munchers, how we doing? How we feeling? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling sexy? Are we ready to kick off a great day, night, weekend, morning, whatever it is, and just have the best day ever? I know. What the fuck am I saying? Jesus. Well, I hope you are feeling well, and I hope you're excited about hanging out with me for a little while, because I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, or something like that. I mean, God, just deal with me, okay?
Yes.
No.
As you all know, I indulge quite frequently in watching pornography, i.e., adult entertainment. And you all know that my current favorite male porn star is Jordan Brant of the Brant's Boys. This muscular, hairy-chested, dark facial hair, beautiful black hair, dark eyes, actually hazel, I think, and the great macho attitude, some tattoos all over, but just this solid built man that in some ways is similar to Henry Cavill. I guess in my thinking it is anyway. Porn these days, in a lot of different genres of it, they actually try to build a story. It's almost like a soap opera, except that everybody's dick is out and up somebody's ass or down somebody's throat.
Oh my God.
But I digress. Jordan, as their story evolved on Brant's Boys, he was allegedly a straight man with a wife who was out of a job and looking for something to do, and a friend of his suggested that they get into gay porn, and he appears in the original clips as being very hesitant, very reluctant to do anything with another guy. And then along comes Kyle. One of the video clips is of them and Jordan's first kiss with a guy, and it's hot, and he says he likes it, and then he has a boner, etc., etc., etc. Now, off the record, I don't buy for a second that Jordan Brant is straight. I don't. Because as the storyline has developed, yeah, he goes from kissing to getting his dick sucked through a glory hole to fucking, and then he begins to suck dick. And he sucks to the point of completion. He swallows. I know that sexuality these days is a really broad term, and if you were looking at the Kinsey 6 scale, most people don't identify as either a Kinsey 1, which would be completely heterosexual, or Kinsey 6, which would be completely homosexual. I'm not saying that a guy who identifies as hetero wouldn't indulge in some playtime with other guys. It's very possible. And I know, guys, we all can say that we've had that experience with straight guys. Straight guys who were just so horny and so desperate to get their rocks off that they would allow you maybe to suck them off. We've all been there, right? So we all know. But we also know that, at least in my experience, the guys that were quote unquote straight that I hooked up with, I wasn't the only guy they hooked up with. I mean, come on, I know better, right? Well, I maybe should take that back. There's probably 2 guys that I hooked up with that are quote unquote straight, who are married with children and are living their best life. And that's great. But thinking about somebody like Jordan Brant and this concept of gay for pay, which would be also in the same area as just your average everyday hustler at a gay bar. I started thinking more about that this week for some reason. I guess it was because I flashed back to this experience I had with a guy who, for all purposes, is a straight guy, but he and I fooled around a couple or three times. And I guess I wonder, how do you get to that point? How do you go from being a guy who likes pussy to a guy who can fool around with another guy? I mean, I understand, though, there are a lot harder ways, no pun intended, to make money that would be much less fun than having somebody get you off. That's a whole lot better than having to sling hash browns and omelets at Waffle House 12 hours a night, don't you think? I think so. And Jordan Brand is a good example. He is becoming a superstar. I know that website and those actors in those clips are making bank, and good for them. But is it solely the purpose of making money the reason that they can do it? I guess they take Viagra or supplements or things to help get them hard and keep them hard. But I still believe even when you take something like Viagra, you still have to have your mind in it. You have to be enjoying it. And I do remember the porn star Beau Butler, who is probably the quintessential power bottom these days. He is a superstar. I heard him on a different podcast talking about the straight guys that he has performed with. He commented that a couple of them have said to him privately, maybe I am gay because I enjoy this too much. And he would reassure them in a positive way, no, you just enjoy sex. You're not gay. You just happen to enjoy the feeling and the physical parts of it. And when you get down to it, isn't sex just friction in essence? Really? Really nice, good, enjoyable friction. And you know, sinners and saints, when I put it that way, sex sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? Even though, damn, it is the best feeling in the world now, isn't it? But I was thinking about a guy that I met years and years ago. Let's call him Jamie. And I was going to my favorite club at the time, and it was a dance club for gay people, but plenty of straight people came. And I've told you in the past that several straight men that I've met there, they would go because they didn't have as much competition with picking up straight girls. One of them told me one time that he preferred women that hung out with gay men because they seemed to be better at sex than girls who had not had any experiences in gay culture, in the gay clubs, or didn't have any friends that were gay. But anyway, so I had noticed Jamie a few times, and he was a guy who had a swimmer's body, these piercing blue eyes. He had a buzz cut haircut, as short as the hair could be, just enough to not say that it was skin, if I can put it that way. But he was very attractive. And I knew based on what I'd heard about him, you know, when the hot guy comes walking into the bar and all of us are like looking at him and going, wow, who's that? That was Jamie. And from the things that my friends told me, Jamie was straight and they thought that he had a daughter. And I was a bit surprised, but I was learning the ropes of gay culture and the soap opera that is a gay bar. I had a couple of times managed to be near him to try to start a conversation, but it never came to fruition. Other friends of mine told me that they thought he was a hustler, that he would show up at the gay bars every so often looking for somebody to give him a few bucks, and he'd be willing to show you his dick for a few bucks. He wouldn't go any farther than that. He wouldn't let a guy touch his dick. He wouldn't let a guy suck his dick for sure, much less kiss him or anything else. So I just put him in that category of a nice specimen to look at when he was there. Well, one night I was over the bar and I'd gone to the parking lot and got in my car. You kind of had to loop around to get out of that parking lot. And when I was coming around one section there was a pickup truck, and I saw somebody moving in and out of it with a door open. The closer I got, I realized that it was Jamie. So I kind of pull up behind the truck and stop, roll down my passenger side window, and I was like, "Is everything okay? You're not having mechanical problems, are you?" He goes, no, I'm just trying to clean up the cab of the truck a little bit because my girlfriend may be taking a girl home tonight and I just got to have room in the truck for her to ride in. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, well, you really are sweating. He goes, well, it's really hot out here. And I'm like, it is. And I said, do you want to get in the car and cool off for a minute? I've got the air conditioning on. And he goes, well, yeah, sure. And he closes the truck door and throws some stuff in the bed of the truck and he gets in. And we start talking, and I kind of make the conversation casual. I said, so your girlfriend is bisexual? And he goes, yeah. And I said, how does that affect you? I'm just curious. And he goes, I don't care, really. I mean, it's not like we have any firm commitment with each other. I'm like, oh, well, so you're kind of like open. And he goes, well, yeah. And he said, I do like coming here. The drinks are stronger and they are a little bit cheaper than a lot of the other places. And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely true. And he said to me, he goes, it's really hot, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I can turn up my air conditioning a little bit more. He goes, well, that's great. But do you mind if I take my shirt off? I was like, no, I don't mind at all. He goes, well, thanks. I know that some people don't like for bare skin to touch the fabric of their seats. And I was like, I'm okay with that. So I decided to pull into a parking spot that wasn't under light so we could chat more.
Really? You're lying.
I just decided, I'm like, he's kind of laying out hints here and he's not asking me for money or anything. So I said, what about you? Are you open? He said, well, I've always been interested, even though I've never really done anything with a guy, but I always wanted to try. I took that as a hint. I just said, well, I wouldn't mind trying with you if you'd like. And I reached over and I touched his nipple and started rubbing his chest. And he was like, yeah, that feels nice. I didn't have to make a move. He unzipped his pants and pulled them down and his underwear down himself as I was rubbing his chest. His dick popped out and it was rock hard. I indulged and he got off. I drove him back to his truck and he said, thanks a lot. And I said, I hope you have a good night and I hope your girlfriend and you have a good time. And he was leaning in the door there, smiling at me. And he said, I already had a good time and maybe I'll see you around. I'm like, great. That's great. So I was really excited because I really enjoyed that encounter. So I thought, well, I'll be looking out for him from this point forward. Maybe we'll have another shot at sneaking away and doing it again. I love secret hookups. And I love the thought of getting away with something like we're committing some sort of taboo that really just turns me on. It's just one of my things. But the next week, no Jamie. A month later, no Jamie. 3 months later, no Jamie. A year later, no Jamie. At that point, I just assumed that he wasn't coming anymore and I pretty much forgot him. Move forward about 4 or 5 years. I go into a different bar that I was just starting to enjoy, and it was a more of a social bar, a version of Cheers, but for queers. And I walk in one night, they are having male strippers. That was when it was still legal to have strippers. And when I say strippers, I don't mean all the way nude. I mean down to a Speedo or underwear. But remember, in large parts of Tennessee, in a bar, men cannot show their nipples. You have to have pasties on. Go back then, about 10 to 15 years ago, that wasn't a problem. Anyway, so I walk in and go to my bartender, order my drink, look up, and one of the strippers is Jamie. Wow. Okay, where has he been? He looked the same, just a little bit older, same swimmer's body, same cut hair down to just a buzz cut, really. He looked as great as ever. And he was making some bucks. I could see the dollars tucked into his Speedo, and he was doing great. So I had to wonder about the missing time there and what he was doing. Now, I knew that from 4 or 5 years ago, he probably didn't even remember me. So I didn't approach him. I wasn't going to give him a tip. I was just going to sit back and watch and enjoy. Well, ironically, he did see me in the crowd and he acknowledged me with a smile, but that was it. He got through his performance, and he got off the bar and was gone and took his money, and that was that. About a month or two later, I was with some friends at that same bar, and we decided to do a little bar hopping. There was another club on the other side of town in an area that's not the best area of town, but it could be fun there sometimes. We go into this club, and I knew half the people there anyway, and we sit at the bar. I happen to look over when somebody comes to sit down beside me, and it's Jamie. I look over and I was just like, well, hey. And he goes, hi. And he smiled. And I said, do you remember me? And he said, well, yeah, of course I do. I remember what happened and everything. I'm like, oh, well, great. He takes over the conversation about how he has custody of his daughter and he's a single parent and he's really worried because he's not making enough money at his job and his daughter's birthday is coming up. He doesn't know what to do about birthday presents. I can feel the BS coming out of that conversation, but I'd been drinking. I was having a good time. He's a hot guy. And I said, you know what? Why don't you buy your daughter a birthday present on me? And I gave him a $20 bill. I didn't ask for anything in exchange for that. I just said it that way. And he was like, well, thank you so much. And I'm like, well, you're welcome. And that was about it. I turned my attention back to my friends and we were chatting. Well, I finally had to go pee. And guys, you know where this is going, right? So I go in to pee. I go into the stall and the damn stall door would not lock. I don't even get in to get my pants unzipped and in comes Jamie. And I'm like, well, hey, he goes, do you mind if I piss with you? I'm like, I don't mind at all. I'm pissing and he pulls his out and he's got a bit of an erection and he pisses and he says, you want to suck it? And then you know what happened probably, right?
Oh, fuck, yeah, fucking take it.
So when that happened, I knew then that the whole, I mean, not that I didn't know it already, but the whole story about the daughter's birthday was probably bogus and he needed some money for himself. And perhaps he felt guilty and thought, well, I'll reward Alan with nature's credit card. Is it that simple if you are a straight male hustler? I mean, let's just be honest here. It's not the high-end escorts that rich, lonely women are looking for to go to parties and to get porked on the side. These are your average, everyday people that are trying to make a living. And also, I recognize, and there are plenty of them that have drug addictions that are willing to do almost anything to get enough money for their next fix. Those, of course, you learn quickly to steer clear of because they can be dangerous. And what I mean by that is that if it is truly a heterosexual male who is trying to get money from you to buy more drugs, they're going to be aggressive already. And one wrong comment or one wrong touch or attempted touch could get your ass killed. So in what I just said, I have to think that hustlers are no different than society in general. Some of them are gay and are enjoying sex and getting money for it, and some are not and are angry and bitter about having to make money that way. They're on a knife edge. You just never know which personality might come out of that person. It could be a Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. You just never know. And that kind of rolls over into prison life too, if you think about it. And I know if you are a guy who is going to spend the rest of your life behind bars and you crave connection, relationship, affection, mostly your only option is going to be another guy. I've read the stories and heard the stories about men behind bars and that you'll see men holding hands and hugging and being affectionate just for the sake of being affectionate. Nothing sexual about it, just a desire to connect with another human being. In thinking about a heterosexual male who is hustling for money, for whatever reason it is, if you really don't enjoy it, that has to be a conflict so great within you that I don't know how you reconcile that, and maybe you don't. It's like for those who are trying to get their next drug fix, the power of their addiction overwhelms their abhorrence to gay sex. Kind of reminds me of Leonardo DiCaprio in Basketball Diaries. He knew how to get $50 pretty easy let a guy blow him, and all he had to do was close his eyes and get off, and it was fine. I get that too. I think if you try to put a moral label on hustling, gay for pay, that's your problem right there. I have seen guys be assaulted by a hustler who was probably hetero. I think that's the bitterness in that person. They cannot reconcile that conflict they're having. And not even necessarily on a moral basis, but on a natural basis. Not everybody is gay. Not everybody's straight. And if you really have no inclination to experiment and no joy in it, yeah, I could see you having a tough time dealing with that situation. And I think you all know that I am interested in the dark side of life. It fascinates me, those almost sinister, evil things that exist in life. Street life, club life, drug life. Not that I want to experiment with drugs, I don't anymore. But there's a fascination that I have with what makes those people tick. I have to say that even ugly on me, one time a guy offered me money to have sex with him. And I was just like, wow, really? I mean, Lord of mercy, you are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here with this one. I was tempted for a minute. I was to take it and do it, but I didn't. Some guys might be offended if somebody solicited them, like you're looking at me like I'm a person who takes money for sex. Jesus. I mean, really? I guess it comes down to the value you put on sex, at least the act of sex. I can remember a guy who was really cute, really nice. When I was a server, he asked me if he could stay at my place for the night. And I was like, sure. And I said, I only have the one bed, if that's okay. He goes, that's fine. I didn't think anything of it. You know, he got in bed and we slept. And then I woke up and he was blowing me. And I was like, okay. It almost felt like he was doing it to thank me for letting him stay, i.e. nature's credit card. I didn't get offended by it. I enjoyed it. But then I started thinking, did he feel obligated to do that just because I let him stay? I didn't bother to ask him. And that was the only time it ever happened. And he was a great guy. He was a very nice guy and he was very good. But I digress. Jesus. I guess I could go on and on and on about this subject, and maybe we'll do a part 2 sometime. Well, we will do a part 2. But in just these couple of flashbacks, I have gotten myself so turned on, I'm going to have to turn you guys off. Damn, that is one nice conversation to have, isn't it, sinners and saints? I hate to see it end, but all good things come to an end, don't they? I hope you've enjoyed our chat this week. God knows I fucking have. So please go out and indulge all your craziest fantasies. And I'll be here next week to share them all with you. I kind of wish, anyway. And as always, remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.